Hello foodie fans, welcome to the Big Food Talk, produced by Tough Monkey Entertainment. I'm your host, Sal Conca. This show supports restaurants, chefs, and food pioneers with your help. Head to bigfoodtalk.com to make your donation today, or check out our fun apparel line with proceeds going directly to participating restaurants. Special thanks to the Long Island Food Council, Dine LI Facebook group, and Yelp Long Island for supporting this episode. Today I'm speaking with Benny, the owner of Nina's Deli and Catering, located in East Meadow, New York. He's a family man who's worked in gourmet Italian markets most of his life and decided to open up his own sandwich shop in 2008. He's as passionate about his food as he is his customers. Listen in as we discuss the shop's history and how he's operating as a grocery during today's difficult times. Well, Benny, welcome to the Big Food Talk. I'm so happy to have you here today. I'd love to know more about your business. When did Nina's open?
Okay, so it was back in 2008. My dad had sold his store, and I was, college age, and I wasn't gonna go to school. I wanted to stay in the business. It was really him. He had a business with him and his brothers, and it was way too much for me to handle on my own. And they were selling, and they were all separating, and they had it for 25 years. They grew up in Manhattan, working for Balducci's and Grace's Marketplace. That's my family. That since the early 1900s, my great grandfather was with a push cart selling fruits in Manhattan. That's how it all started. And from the push cart, it turned into then he'd start making with the produce crates. He turned into a little market. Then he'd start selling nuts. And then, he'd make a little deal with the fish guy and he'd put some fish. Then little by little, that from that little fruit stand became a storefront, a brick and mortar storefront. From that, he bought half a city block. And then the brothers and sisters, they opened up another place. One daughter, she opened up Grace's Market, which is a very famous. So they had Balducci's and Grace's Market. And my father and my uncles grew up in the business. Eventually, they moved out to Long Island. They had started families, and they said, you know what? We're always working for, Aunt and Uncle Joe, Aunt Grace and Uncle Joe. We could do this on our own. We started from on the bicycles, delivering groceries, to managing cheese department, managing the meat department. That we could do this on our own. So they started their own little store, again, the size of my store, a little store. Because it was three brothers, they had so much resources. They had a lot of extra help where they could still have time off and still be able to have so much help in the store that they, little by little, they did the same thing. They took a store next to them, until they became kind of like a Uncle Giuseppe's, a little bit smaller, but it had meat and produce and fish and grocery and everything. And they did home delivery. And this was on the North Shore in Roslyn. And they, did home deliveries to all the people over there that had like private chefs and stuff. It was very high end.
What was the name of the shop? Some people may remember it.
It was called Dorso's Gourmet Market. So as I got older, I was in my late teens. I was really, running a lot of the show over there with my dad and my uncles. But when they decided to sell, the downturn of the economy, 2008, things had changed. The neighborhood started to change a little bit. And that was really at the time where like Whole Foods was getting big, and even the supermarkets. I don't know if you remember back in the day, supermarkets were not like they were today. They didn't have the beautiful produce setups. They didn't have the olive bars. They were just really like for the masses. They weren't as gourmet as they are now. They adapted very much so. Yep. So when that started to happen, that niche market was a little getting, they saw the end for a big store with high overhead coming. So they sold at the right time. They got out. And I was like left in the dust, where I was a young kid thinking I was going to take over this store, or at least take over my dad's position. And I wasn't really going to college. I nothing was really, I loved owning my own business. I loved running the business. So nothing was appealing to me. I wouldn't know what to go to school for except business, but I love to work. I was working 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week. So I said I was looking at taking up a job in Ivoroni's. They were trying to give me 15, 20 hours a week. And I was telling the guy, I could run circles around these guys. I could run this whole department. And he's like, you're 20 years old. I'm like, believe me, I know I ran a store. I know I'm 20, but I look 20, but I'm like a 50-year-old, 60-year-old guy in my head. I know it. I know all the vendors. I buy from everybody. I do big parties on the North Shore. I'm telling you, I can run this department. That wasn't what I was going to do was work for somebody. So I told my dad, I says, I'm going to find the smallest little spot with the cheapest little rent, and I'm going to open up something, a gourmet sandwich shop. And that's how it started.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that can relate to that, especially Italian families in this area. I mean, my grandfather came to this country when he was 14. You know, I have the company Big Lou's Onion Sauce. That's how we, originally met, which I haven't even spoken about on this show at all, because it's not about that. But the stories of the families and how you guys grew up and how, especially for Italian families, I can relate to that story so much, and hearing, with the push carts in the city, and, the same with my grandfather with the hot dogs and the onions and, all that type of stuff. So normally I usually ask people, where does their passion for food come? But you explained it explicitly. So we
Yeah.
know exactly where your passion for food comes from. My next question though is, who is Nina? Why Nina's Deli and
Well,
Catering?
that was I missed that in the story. So Nina's my grandmother, and she, when they first started their store, she was the chef. When the uncle, because that's his brothers, they're all. She was making her Sunday sauce and making her focaccia and making all the Italian specialties, and like she was there every day in an apron making in that little on a little stove in the little store that he started, because like I said, it was first a little, very small store with the three brothers, and that's Nina. And I learned everything. It's really been a generational thing, because my my mother had learned everything from her. She started making it. Nina passed of breast cancer, and I always wanted, when I had started, I told my dad, I said, I want to, make it started with you guys and my grandmother. Nonna Nina, we say Nonna, and I wanted to continue the same way. I want that name. Nina is, I want that to be part of the business. And my mother learned everything from her. And now my mother, she's has her hands in a lot of it, but she taught my wife, who was then, when I first opened the business, me and my wife Megan, we opened it together. She learned everything from her, and now it's like my wife can run circles around my mom. My mom asks Megan for advice. Does this taste right? Because she's gotten so much into doing it that, like,
Yeah.
they work together until eventually my wife learned everything. So this young Irish girl that started the business with me is now like can cook better than any Italian.
That's a
It's
beautiful
amazing.
thing, though. That's the
Yeah.
traditions, and that's the stuff, and how it gets passed down.
And now, like, my daughters, I have two daughters. They're learning from my mother and from my mother and from my wife. But now my daughter for Easter wanted to make the pizza rustica, make focaccia for Easter. So it's like it just keeps. We want to keep it going. We don't want those old things to die. The Sunday sauce and all that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're speaking my language. The Easter breads. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of that this year. I did get takeout from a restaurant locally here for Easter dinner. We had spiral ham and some other great trimmings, but I was missing that pizza rustica. I was missing the other stuff that
Yeah.
I couldn't get it this year, and I didn't make it on my own. Just it's different now, right? We haven't. I'm not going out
Oh, yeah.
getting the same
My
supplies for the
mom
home.
just my mom was in tears, heartbroken that she couldn't make the pizza rustica this year for the customers. I had people on Facebook messaging me, "Is your mother making the pizza rustica? You making the pizza rustica?" Unfortunately, she's not at the store at all, because just for the safety, we don't want to take, even though we're on lockdown, you don't want to take any chances. All the horror stories you see, she's healthy. She's, in her 60s, very healthy. We don't want anything to happen to her. So her and my father are home safe, and I'm on the phone every day with my dad, my mom, but we want to make sure that there's home safe. So she was just so heartbroken that she couldn't make it this year, because she knows that people wait all year. We even started making it for Christmas because people wanted it so bad. They'd be like, "You can't make that." It says, "Well, listen, we can make it. It's not that we can't make it. It's an Easter tradition, but people love it because it's a great antipasta item." So
Yeah, and so in my family, we have a lot of those traditions around the old Italian recipes, and unfortunately, a lot of the aunts and the uncles that made that stuff, they've passed, and they haven't passed down some of those recipes. Some of those are just lost now. I've tried to
yeah.
take over a lot of the traditional recipes and cooking as best as I can, but it's hard. It's hard. There's a website that I actually use. It's called Cooking with Nona. She has a
Mhm.
great website, and Rosella Rago. She has Cooking with Nona. all the traditional Italian stuff. So I trust her recipes implicitly.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a Benny
Especially
at
if they
home,
came from the same regions of Italy, you know that, they may have tweaked it here or there, but
my family is big on St. Joseph's Day, and when this all happened, the first weekend we all missed our St. Joseph's Day. 100 of us gather up in upstate New York in Pleasantville. Sorry, I don't know, Spring Valley or Pleasantville, one of those up in New York. So I ended up for the first time, I learned how to make St. Joseph's at home. I made homemade St.
uh,
Joseph this year. So
yeah, see,
you,
this year because normally we have them out. We have the Zeppelis but we didn't even end up buying them this year because it was like all of a sudden it went from 0 to 60 so fast, right? I mean, at the end of February, beginning of March, everybody was like, people are, they're going crazy. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, something's really going on.
yeah,
This
this
is
is for
really
real.
happening.
This
Yeah,
is for
this,
real. It's really happening. Yeah. So 2008, you decide to open up this sandwich shop. Who develops the menu? How do you coming up with the sandwiches? Every Long Island restaurant too, got to have a bacon, egg, and cheese. I mean, how many bacon, egg, and cheeses are you moving a week?
the breakfast is very traditional New York. Your deli iced tea, your bacon, egg, and cheese, sausage, egg, and cheese, ham, egg, and cheese. Very traditional. I mean, that's a no brainer. I wanted to throw in there, actually, in the beginning, it was very simple. As I had, because I was a young guy at the time, I was only 22, and I had guys that were like college age in high school who were coming in for jobs. And they were telling me, oh, you got to do like a buffalo breakfast. You got to do like a hot and spicy wake up. Some people want like egg whites with buffalo chicken, and so then we changed the menu together because originally I had a very basic menu. Oh, you should do French toast. You should do sandwiches on French toast, and they were giving me different ideas. So then I would really, I was very open to ideas from my because I came from a gourmet, and actually we're kind of going backwards here because we became right now we're doing a lot of green grocery and home picking, home shopping, which we never did over the years. We're doing it now because people are stuck at home. But I didn't really come from a deli type of atmosphere, so I had to go based on people who were working and went to delis and they knew the kind of things that the people wanted and that they bought every day. I worked in a deli, so I didn't really. I mean, I worked in a food store, so I wasn't going to a deli every morning. So I didn't know. I wasn't really too familiar of what the biggest things were, what the people were looking for. So they knew even better than me, and I took a lot from their input. That I made a Dominic, which was my dad's a big guy, so I called it the Dominic, and it was just like a fully loaded hero with potatoes and eggs and all the meats and extra cheese. So that was like I guess some places call it a lumberjack or something like that. So that was our big Dominic hero, and basically, just the staple items. That was the breakfast. The lunch sandwiches, I just put together my favorites.
I know you have a big burger menu. I was looking at the burger menu, and that seems to be a staple that you guys have. How many different varieties of burgers do you guys serve up right now?
There's like 10 different burgers, and that was even maybe a couple of years later into it when I wanted, I started seeing that all these, I guess they were calling it fast casual. They were calling it burger spots were popping up, and you like I said, it's in this business, it's adapt or die. So you gotta change and you gotta adapt and you gotta see what the people are wanting. So I started saying, I could make different kinds of burgers by cross merchandising my menu. So basically what I did was I took the original lunch menu and then just morphed into a burger menu where, like, if I had a steak sandwich, I did a burger with steak gravy and cheese on top. If I had like like an Italian sandwich, I made an Italian burger with Genoa salami on top with melted provolone. One of my favorites, which is not really a big seller, but it's really my favorite. It's a Caesar salad burger. It was a burger with like Caesar dressing and romaine lettuce on a garlic roll. It really makes you feel like you're at a steakhouse eating steak with a Caesar salad on the side, and that was one of my favorites. But we just talk amongst the guys, me and my wife, and just spitball and make things up, and you try things, and all Italian food. You come up with these ideas. Everything tastes good.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, that's the beauty of food, right? It's an art form, and you can experiment and improvise and really come up with new ideas all the time. I noticed that along with the burgers, you have a loaded fries menu. So, like, I was looking at that, and I'm going, "Oh man, this is great!" Because like people are just, it's most places you go for lunch, it's just a bag of fries, sack of fries, whatever it is. So you guys are doing loaded fries. That's like got to be a meal in itself, or does that come with the burgers?
Well, no, that's kind of like a meal in itself. So people opt for either or. There are people who, if it's it's their cheat day, they'll go a little nuts. But yeah, loaded fries, it's basically like paying homage to like the poutine type thing with the cheese and gravy, but just with like a different twist. Again, the same thing. I took like my original menu of sandwiches and morphed it into how can I make these sandwiches work as fries. So like if you've had like a Reuben, we have Reuben fries. So we have shredded pastrami on top of fries with melted Swiss and like a Thousand Island. We have steak and onions and peppers on top of fries. So like a Philly cheesesteak on top of fries. So, an Italian. So we have like Genoa salami, pepperoni, melted mozzarella on top of the fries. So like we basically took our menu and morphed it into how can we have these sandwiches but as fries.
Yeah, that sounds you're making me hungry right now. That's all I gotta say. I mean, I know it's nearing 5 o'clock. My wife's gonna want to eat dinner soon, and so I'm getting hungry over here. But one of the big things you said is your Italian hero. Can you tell me about what makes the perfect Italian hero for you? Because you've been in this business forever. So
The real Italian hero on the menu is the Bronx combo. So that we have an Italian hero, but that I like to call it the American Italian hero, which you'll find at any deli, which is just ham. And I give it a little twist because some places just give you ham. I give ham cabago, pepperoni and Genoa salami, roasted peppers, lettuce, red wine vinegar and olive oil, or balsamic vinaigrette with fresh mozzarella or provolone. That's the American Italian. But my Italian is the Bronx combo because that's hot or sweet soppressata, real capocollo, not ham capocollo, real capocollo, and and prosciutto with roasted peppers or sun-dried tomatoes, fresh mozzarella or provolone with the balsamic vinaigrette. Because that's more like a Bronx. That's what you're gonna get on Arthur Avenue. That's the real deal. That's like where what we grew up eating when people would go to school and people had PB&J and I had Supersada,
every
that
every year after Super Bowl, when my mom would pack my lunch, she would I was always have the leftover Italian hero to go to lunch the next day, and it was
yeah,
always loaded with Italian coconuts, and everybody be looking at me like, "What is that thing? That's not that's not an Italian sub, or that's not." I said, "No, like, what do you mean?" I said, "It's the prosciutto, it's the gabagool, it's the
yeah,
everything." I go, "I got these are the real coconuts. I don't do no pepperoni and the other stuff." I said,
exactly. You got to give it to the people because that's what they're, born and bred to. That's what they eat. But if I'm gonna have an Italian hero, it's the Bronx combo. And even when customers come in, they go, "Oh, you got an Italian hero?" I always educate them. I tell them, I say, I got the regular Italian hero, which everyone knows, and then we got the Bronx combo. So you decide what you like.
Yep, that's my style. I like it. I'm gonna have to come get me one of those. Maybe we'll try some big lose on one of those Italian heroes too. See how it goes. Um, so now that all this has happened, but even before this, running any business and doing things like this, did you have hurdles in the business over the last 10 years? Like, what was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome in running this business in the last 10 years before all this happened?
Well, I think that ev- business is hurdles every day. I think that
Mhm.
there's definitely the big hurdles, but I think every day is a hurdle when it comes to owning your own business because you're putting fires out every day. There's always a situation. There's always something you have to do. Running a business is definitely a hurdle in itself. But I would say the biggest things were when we moved from the smaller store to the biggest store was the biggest thing because we had gotten to a point back, I think it was 2013, where my lease was just finishing up at the store, and it was either renew or whatever was going on, and we had already grown out of it. We had, if I tell you, literally a little kitchen stove, a panini press, and the smallest griddle you can buy. Because I was a young kid, I was 22 years old. I didn't even know what was going to come of it, and my parents were even a little reluctant. They were like, "I don't know, you're getting this is bigger than getting married. You're signing a lease. You're starting a business. You something happens, then what? You're investing all the money you have saved, and you're taking this chance." I said, "It doesn't." I said, "Listen, if I'm going to make money, I'm going to make it for myself, not for somebody else." That was the biggest thing was as we grew out of that store, we were so confined, little kitchen refrigerator, little kitchen stove, little tiny griddle, and it was getting really, really hard. And the store was only 600 square feet. So at that time, there was a little restaurant that was empty, came available, happened to be my father had known the landlord because the family owned the pharmacy that was next door, and it was much bigger than it was 1,100 square feet, had a huge kitchen ready to go with everything, a 6 burner stove, oven, fryer later. It was really set up for what we needed at the time.
Yeah, and I think what people are going to hear from you is just the passion you have for your business and how much you put into your heart and soul. It's your baby, right? I mean, you got
Yeah, it
kid
really
you
is.
you got kids, but your business is your first baby,
Yeah, it was
actually.
my
So
first kid.
yeah, so I get that and understand it completely. So now that all this has happened, with the chaos that we're going through now, how has business changed? What's different for you now?
We again, like I feel like I got to give a lot of credit to my wife, a lot of credit to my help. The few people I have with me have been unbelievably amazing. I've been, taking extra care of them every week, and being that we're also socially distant, they've become really like family. I mean, they always were, but now they're the only people I see besides my kids and my wife. So we become very close, but we've had to change the entire operation. We've become more of a home delivery service or a curbside service where we brought in a ton of fresh produce when I have never handled a piece of fresh produce other than fruit salad for the summertime. So now we're selling apples, pears, plums. We've got avocados, cucumbers. We put tables, folding tables of an entire produce department out of nothing. We decided to start this entire produce department. My beverage case underneath, we've turned into entire produce refrigerator for night storage. And we're trying to carry as much as we can to keep people from having to go to the supermarket and keeping them distant. We're on total lockdown, which is a whole nother ball game. We're trying to, and we tell everybody it's a learning experience. We're trying to learn how to keep us safe because we go down, the ship goes down. So we're gloved up, masked up, the door is locked. We limit every contact. Everything's on credit card, which is another thing. No cash payments. Home delivery, even we take gratuities over the phone because the driver just does a phone call and drop at the doorstep. We're trying to limit everything also to please the customers, to know that they feel safe with everything. And it's just a totally different business. I have to tell you, Sal, it's like going from opening up a whole new business.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad because sometimes I feel like I'm alienating my customers, my older customers that I didn't have, because I'm getting a lot of new customers. Because when people call in for a bacon, egg, and cheese, and sometimes or just some lunch sandwiches, and it's like you want to please everybody. Sometimes when you try to please everybody, you don't please anybody at all. So you're trying to do what you're adapting into, and at the same time a wrench in the gears. All of a sudden someone has a few breakfast sandwiches, and you feel bad to say it might be like an hour because we have people picking and packing produce that we never did before, and cutting pounds of cold cuts that we never really did before.
I
So we
get
have
it.
our cold cut packs. We're doing all the cold cuts, so that's changed a lot. Again, the profit margin is much different, so we have to learn to adapt to that because we're not getting pallets of strawberries. So the profit margin. So even though it feels like we are much busier, when you used to be a sandwich shop, the profit margins, and only people in business will understand this, but at least I could educate. At least I could educate them. When the profit margin of a sandwich shop compared to the profit margin of a produce shop and a cold cut shop are two totally different things. You need to do big volume to make the same profits as you would selling fruit and vegetables and cold cuts, then you would need to just sell prepared entrees and sandwiches. And you can't do both. It's very hard to do both, especially with a limited staff and limited hours. So we're just trying to make it work. Every day it's like organized insanity, is sometimes I like to say. But yeah,
Get that completely.
doing the best we can. But the donation fund has been really great too. That's really been helping us out, and we don't want to exhaust all our efforts. We've been doing as much as we can, trying to match and match whatever is being donated as far as price wise and keeping the costs down. But it's just
Absolutely.
that's very fulfilling. Just what we're doing for the hospitals and the first responders, that just makes it all worth it because of the all the praise we're getting, and it brings it, like I said, it brings us to tears because
Yeah.
people make you feel so good. Right now, all of a sudden, it's like people are giving you so much. They make you feel so good, make you feel important. just knowing that you're an essential person when, there's no NBA stars, there's no superstars out there anymore. We're the superstars. The people in the hospitals are the superstars. The first responders are the superstars. We're the ones that are keeping the world safe.
Yep.
And then really, not to say we more so the scientists and the nurses and the doctors, but
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for people, they all realize that we're going to go back. We talked about it before the interview started even, but like going back and how much humility everybody has and going back to a simpler time almost. I think that's,
oh yeah, big time.
part of, so you are going to appreciate the people that can deliver the groceries and give you the produce and, and I've seen, as much as we rely on things like Amazon and delivery services and all this other stuff, we also have this time where we were getting back to the farmers markets in the communities and building up our main streets. And I think after this, that's only just going to continue. We're going to realize how important our main street businesses are, our small businesses like yours, and the local restaurants and local shops. And that's really going to be, I think, a big difference coming out of all this.
It's not just how important, it's how nice it is to have those relationships. The relationships I had before this with my customers, I knew everybody by name. I was with the schools, I was at the functions, and I went there myself. I knew people. I was always, I had customers who would send me jokes, and every day I had, one guy, I haven't seen him in so long. It was an old timer. He's in his 80s. I don't even know how else to reach out to him. I think I'm going to try to shoot him an email. We would tell each other jokes every day. He would wait when I'm up busy on a Saturday making eggs. He would wait just because he had to tell me a joke. Like those relationships, you cannot get those from the big stores. Although they try through their marketing commercials to have those same. It's not going to be the same when you have people who have kids in the same school, who are at the same parks as you. I've seen customers at the same bounce places and kid places. I've seen customers with their little kids and my little kids. Those things are not the same. So just
Absolutely.
the fact of taking care of small businesses means more of a community. And actually what you said about olden times, I heard they might start with the drive-in movies again.
That would be beautiful.
Talking about doing drive-in movies because, at least we could all keep socially distanced, bring the snacks, be in our cars and watch a projected movie. I think that would be awesome. My kids would love that.
I'm absolutely down for drive-in movies. I mean, I think it's a generational thing too, where people, they get to a certain age and they yearn for what was in the past and things like that. But, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your entire story with us, Benny. You're a great guy, and I'm glad I get to spend this time with you and hear from you and learn about your business more. And what I'd like to know is, what's the best way for people to connect with you now, and how can they find you? What's the best way to work with you these days?
I mean, basically just call in. We have people who are ready to virtually shop the store with you. They'll tell you every item we carry. They'll go over with you what your shopping list is. We try to bring in anything. Like now we're starting to bring in, we brought in paper goods. So that's one of the best ways to reach out and call. That's really a direct way. We have the fund that we're doing, the Heroes for Heroes. So if anybody wants to donate to that, we have that up on Facebook through Venmo and PayPal, and that way we could just keep it rolling because we're like booked this week. We start at the end of every week on Saturdays, we start booking for the next week. What I do is I reach out to the local community and I say, give me your nominations, private message me, and give me your nominations through my name, Benny Diaspara. Because it's hard to do anything with your business name through Facebook because it's kind of like a different link. So I use my own name. Plus, I know a lot of the people. Like I said, I'm in the community. I'm here. I live here, and so I went to East Meadow High School. I went to all the schools, so I know a lot of the people. But yeah, they could reach out to me, private message me any way they want to donate or get involved, or reach out if you need catering. If you have a specific place you want to send your own stuff to privately with your own card, we're doing everything we can. We're gonna just keep it going as much as we can.
Awesome, Benny. Thank you so much for your hard work. I wish you nothing but success in the future. And I can't wait to continue our relationship and see how you're doing as all this changes and we get back to the new normal.
Thank you so much. Reach out to me anything you need. Take care.
You got it. Ciao.
Thanks for tuning in to the Big Food Talk, produced by Tough Monkey Entertainment. Subscribe on iTunes and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram for behind-the-scenes takes, or watch complete episodes on YouTube. Don't forget to make a donation at bigfoodtalk.com.